everyone, and welcome. Today is about cleansing your environment. We're going to be talking about several different ways that you can do that. Some in the more real ritual side of things, the more mystical side of things, and things that are also just kind of using everyday items within your home to be able to cleanse the energy that kind of has a tendency to gather there as the month continues. Today really kind of comes about because my mom called me earlier this morning a bit frantic, and was telling me that she'd been up and kind of putzing around the house and she was missing one of her cats. And her cats have a tendency to get in trouble, so I can understand why she was a little concerned that she couldn't find him. And she told me that she walked into her bedroom, and her bedroom, she usually keeps it pretty dark, and she saw this shadow dart across in front of her and under her bed. And she automatically assumed it was the cat that she'd been looking for and that he was purposely hiding from her, until she turned around and he was standing behind her. So she kind of freaked out. What is the shadow? What's going on in my house? And I will say lately my mom's house has been feeling a little off. And we've talked about it. She hasn't been in the best mood. She hasn't been feeling well either. And so I think there's been kind of some negativity just kind of gathering in her house. And the shadow may be a part of that. Now, when we kind of talk about seeing shadows and things like that, a lot of people will, assume that there's some sort of entity in the home, and it may very well be. I'm not one to really negate anything. I've had enough experiences in my lifetime to know that there are a lot of things in this world that my science or religion can't explain, which is why I also love this side that is very mystical and ritual and, yes, a little witchy. So as she was kind of panicking about having the shadow in her house and what should she do, I gave her just some really quick, simple things that she can try with the stuff that she had at home, because she's kind of homebound, and I didn't really have time to drop everything that I was doing and run over there and cleanse her house for her. And she called me back later and said that she could already feel the difference in the change in the house, and she hadn't seen the shadow anymore. So great. So I decided to share some of that with you today. So let's start off with some ways that most people are kind of familiar with using a sage bundle or a piece of Palo Santo. Both of these are kind of fall into the more ritualistic ways of being able to cleanse your home. And they are pretty simple to do if you have these tools already available to you. And it is just as simple as being able to light the end of either the bundle or the stick, whichever you choose to use, allow it to burn down a little bit and then blow it out. And as it continues to smoke, just being able to walk around your house and allowing that smoke to waft through the room. You can, if you want to, add another bit of a practice to this where you state some sort of intention or mantra or spell work, whatever you want to call it, to be able to, talk about how your home is pure and light and full of love, or whatever it is that you want to bring in to cleanse and purify your environment. Now, if you'd like to be able to use these same ingredients in your cleansing ritual, but don't like the smokiness of it, you can invest in a smudge spray. This one is actually one of the ones that I sell in my shop, the Purifying Cleanse Intention, which again has the same ingredients of sage, Palo Santo, and actually a little bit of rosemary too, to give a little bit more of that purifying essence to it. And it's just as simple as taking the spray and spraying it around the room. And again, if you want to add some sort of intention to that, or phrase where you can kind of talk about the purity and the cleanliness, that you are inviting into your home. If you want to make these on your own, they're pretty simple. It's just a little bit of distilled water. I use witch hazel with mine. Some people will use alcohol, and then adding the essential oils that you want to be able to do this. I do have a video also on this channel that shows you how to make a simple smudge spray. One of the easiest ways to cleanse your environment is to simply take a spray bottle, fill it about 3/4 of the way with water, and then add salt till it's almost full. Then go ahead and cap it off, give it a good shake, and allow that salt to dissolve within the water. Salt is known for its protective properties, and it is an element that you will see in a lot of different practices used for protection and even sometimes purification. Whenever we're making any kind of tool, let's say, to cleanse our environments, we want to make sure that the ingredients that we're using are as pure as possible. You don't have to, but it is best because we don't want any kind of impurities to kind of go along with the materials that we're making. So I suggest using distilled water and sea salt. However, if you want to, you can just go ahead and use regular tap water and table salt. It'll still have the same effect as long as your intentions continue to match that you want to cleanse and purify your environment. So if you don't want to smoke up your environment through smoting, or and you don't want to be spraying anything, you can also use crystals to cleanse your environment. This is selenite. This is one of the crystals that is probably the most pure. It is used for purification and cleansing as well. And in fact, it is used to cleanse other crystals. One of the things, though, that you need to be aware of if you're going to use any crystal as far as a cleansing property is that you yourself also have to be free of negative energy. You have to be probably at your calmest state and also have a good mindset, because crystals will absorb your energy. And if it's absorbing negative energy from you, it's going to do absolutely nothing to cleanse your environment. Now, the top stick that you see here is actually tied together with chakra stone. So this one is a perfect opportunity for one that you can use to cleanse yourself and being able to kind of become more harmonized on your own. Whereas this one is just a pure chunk of selenite that you can use just kind of as a wand, being able to go through your environment and cleanse as well. And just like everything else, you can add an intentional phrase as you do so. All right, so now to some other practices as far as cleansing your environment. So those of you that kind of like that mystical, witchy, supernatural side of things, this is going to be right up your alley. But again, these are just simple, natural remedies that you can use with anything that you have kind of around your house. You see in front of you just a lime, a lemon, sea salt, and basil leaves. You're not having to do anything real special. The most that you might have to get is one of them calls for using a white candle, which we'll get into a little bit later. The most important part when you're doing any kind of practices that may be tied to spell work is that you're going in with good intention yourself, and that you are putting positive intention into the practice that you're using. Just like with the crystals, it can pick up on your negative vibes, and you don't want to add that to anything that you're working with. So our first practice is being able to just take a half a lemon and placing a white candle in the center of it. Now, as you light that candle, you again do so with intention and positivity, and imagine or visualize the purity and the cleansing energy that comes from this ritual, and as it cleanses your environment around it. You can be able to, if you want to, kind of waft some of that flame back towards you so that you can also purify yourself and release some of the negative energy that you may have gathered over time as well. This is one of the most simple ones. You can add salt to the lemon as well if you want to give it a little bit of a boost. I'm going to just go ahead and slightly push this back and then add another lemon here. Now, you don't have to use the particular candle that I have showing here. This is actually known as a spell candle or chime candle. You can use any white candle that you have available to you, including these little ones for birthday cakes. They're not going to burn as long, but that works. You can also use just a tea light. And if you want to, you can just go ahead and set it on top of the lemon like that. You can leave it in its container, or you can go ahead and pull it out. If I leave it in the container, I definitely like to add some salt to my lemon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It's okay if it gets all over the place. And again, just kind of rub it around, even it out with the candle. And let's see if I can get this to light for me. And again, lighting with intention. My hands are shaking, so it doesn't want to light. There we go. And when I do any kind of spell work, I also like to just kind of sit and meditate over the candles as they burn down. Of course, they're going to burn at different lengths, so you don't have to sit there the whole time. Definitely never leave a candle unattended as you're going along. And you may be asking, well, what do you do if you got to get up and leave? That's okay. You can go ahead and blow out the candle. But never leave it unattended. You really want, though, the opportunity for the candles to completely burn down before you consider this spell as being over. So, people may think a little bit differently. I have no problem, and I've never seen any problem with being able to blow them out and coming back later and lighting them again and continuing. Most times people will say that once you use the candle once, you don't want to relight it. But if it's the practice of the same spell, I've never found any problem with that. Our next practice is very similar without the candle. It's being able to take, again, a lemon, or in this case, a lime, because I used my last lemon for those, 7 cloves, and then a container with salt. And as you practice this spell, you're going to go ahead and take your cloves and go ahead and add them to your lime. Doesn't matter really how you put them in there. Cloves, again, are going to help ward off negative energy and bring about positivity. And then go ahead and add them to your bowl of salt. And once you're done, you're going to go ahead and place your hands on either side of the bowl. And you are going to say aloud a phrase that, again, invites positivity and the removal of negative energy in your home. Now, you can just say this once if you choose to do so. Again, you want to say it with intention and with positivity as you're going through this. I personally like to repeat any kind of incantation spells, intentions 3 times. 3 is a very powerful number in multiple religions and spiritual beliefs, and I just find it very powerful myself as well. You see 3 in a lot of Celtic and Druid practices as well, which is my family background. So it is, again, it's just as simple as, I consecrate you to absorb any negative energy in my home. I consecrate you to absorb any negative energy in my home. I consecrate you to absorb any negative energy in my home. So mote it be. So our last practice, again, is just as simple as either a lime or lemon, some sea salt, and basil leaves. Now, this practice is about being able to kind of absorb the negative energy within your home, and then after you leave them out for a while, again, however long that you feel is kind of necessary, you can go ahead and dispose of them. I already put one together here. It's just a matter of placing the sea salt and basil leaves over the lime, and then what you're going to want to do is you take the half of the lime and place it in different rooms in your house. You don't have to have it in a container. I have kind of different ones that I use within the house. I like to do that because my animals like to get into anything that smells really good, and of course this smells really good. So this one is just, a nice little small ball jar. I'll put this in rooms where I know that my cats can get into it a lot easier, because maybe at the most they might give it a good smell or lick, but they're not going to be batting it around all over the place. For rooms that I can put it up higher, I'll just use these little trivets and being able to kind of set them there. So again, you're going to want to have 1/2 of a lime covered in the salt and basil leaves for every room of your house to absorb that negative energy. So as my first spell is kind of coming to an end here, as you can see, the candle is burned down to nothing pretty much, other than a little bit of it that is stuck inside of the lemon. It's giving off a nice good flame and a few little sparks here and there. The question kind of remains as to what do you do with this when it's done. So these that have candles in them, as soon as the candle is completely burned out, you want to go ahead and remove it from your home. Your best bet is to try and dispose of it away from your home. So again, that you're not kind of keeping that energy around. So if you do have, an outside trash can, whether it's in your alley or the edge of the street, or at least a good distance away from your home, go ahead and toss it in within that. If you're lucky enough that it's on trash day, that's even better, because then it really is going to pull it away from your home. Or if you need to, just wrap it up and place it in a bag, and then when you have a chance to get it out of your home completely, dispose of it somewhere else. Some people like to dispose of them within nature, so some may say that they go and give it back to nature and allow it to kind of repurify and kind of allow the energy to return to nature. And so they may, put it in a body of water somewhere, whether it's be a river nearby or a stream. Some people may bury it. But again, you want it to be away from your home because it has absorbed all the negative energy that has existed within your home. Now, those that have the candles in this, I definitely would not encourage you to give it back to nature unless you were using like a soy or a beeswax candle that is natural. If it is just kind of a typical wax candle, you definitely don't want to put that out in nature. Those that have kind of more natural ingredients on it, like just the salt and the basil and the cloves, those would be perfect to be able to give back. But again, you're going to want to do the same with those and discard them away from your home.